welcome to our time. A proud and long-standing State Opera South Australia artist, Mark Oates was recognised by the Adelaide Critics Circle for his body of work in 2022. He's an in-demand concert artist who also tours nationally with the International Aerial Artists of Australia. It's taken a long time to pin him down, but now he's here. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Malcolm.
I just want a great big pin now to jam through to make sure you don't go anywhere.
Well, I've got the colours. We might get away with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Red hearts on fire.
There we are.
No, we have been talking for probably a couple of years about coming and talking on the show, but you're always tied up with some production.
I'm sorry, or I failed to answer a message from you until too late. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, yes, that did happen.
Yeah, that does happen a lot.
That's all right. Now, as an opera singer, how much do you really look after your vocals?
That's a very important thing for me and for, I'd say, for all singers. The issue for me is that I'm a crossover artist, so I sing in a number of different styles. So the vocal health that I work on is really broad to make sure that I'm able to reflect all of the different styles I work in. And sometimes it's dependent on the kind of work I'm doing, the kind of care that I need to take.
And the kind of show you're doing, obviously.
Yeah.
Kind of opera, kind of...
Absolutely.
But so when you first started to sing, you of course weren't probably aware of any of this stuff.
No.
So I always say, let's go back to the beginning. How did it all begin?
Well, I started...
that was my radio voice.
Oh, I love your radio voice. It's beautiful.
I've got voice.
I started as a chorister in my church choir.
Yeah.
So I think I was probably 5 or 6 when I started singing as a boy soprano in the church choir, which I think is a reasonably common thing for a lot of singers.
Very common.
Particularly my generation of singer.
Yes.
But I sang, I played piano and a little bit of clarinet, but I played piano all through school. I studied double music at school. And
just for the voice, how valuable has that been, the fact that you...
Absolutely. So
you obviously read as well.
Yes, and a musician first. And this actually one of the things that I talk about a lot, and I get really, really frustrated when I'm working with bands and orchestras, etc., when they say, okay, all the musicians come here and we'll get the singers over there. And that always gets my hackles going because I see myself
as the first instrument.
I'm a musician first, and my current instrument of choice is my voice. But I play piano, poorly these days, but I play piano. I've started learning the bass guitar because I happened to have one in the house and I thought it might be fun. So I'm teaching a bass guitarist at the moment. I'm doing some vocal sessions with him.
Oh, right.
And so we're doing a quick quote bro.
And,
brilliant. He's giving me some bass lessons, which is, I'm terrible. I'm very, very bad at it, but I figure lifelong learning, it's a good thing to do.
Well, so many people started off in a church choir of some description back in our day. Not so common now, I suspect, but... what happened next? When did somebody identify, hang on, you've got a voice, you should be using that?
Yeah, I think, so for me, the learning to sing that way was about learning 4-part harmony. So that was a really important thing for me. And that then kind of transitioned into doing a couple of musicals at school.
Did playing the piano, did that give you the logic of the harmony? Do you know what I mean?
So I think
the chords.
Playing the piano helps you understand how keys work together and how to transition from one key to another, how things modulate, when you're in the dominant, when you're in different related keys, etc. So that's always really, really helpful, and it makes it very helpful to follow harmonies, to understand harmonies and where they might be. Unfortunately, sometimes it can also make you think you know what you're doing, and sometimes when you think you're singing, you realise you're in the chord, but you're not actually singing the note that was written for you. So that's an interesting aspect of it. But I think really for me...
Sorry, to explain that's when people think they're singing the tune.
Yes.
And when you're listening to it, you think, no, hang on, it sounds all right, but it's not the tune.
Yes, or you think that you're singing, but more so when you're singing in harmony to the tune, you think you're singing the tenor line, but you realise you're actually at the alto line at the moment, or you're at the bass line because they've come a little bit close. The other one that gets me all the time is when I think that I'm not singing the right line and then I refer to my music and realise that one of our parts is doubling. So you hear a voice and you think, well, that can't be my line because I'm supposed to be singing something different.
Difference. Yeah.
Or you might, the altos and the tenors might have actually come together on the same note and then gone apart again. So, but I think for me, high school, I sang in the chorus of a Gilbert and Sullivan, Pirates of Penzance, in year 10. And I think at the school, there was a recognition there that there was maybe something a little bit more from me as a singer.
You got a role?
And so the next year I did a production of Godspell
Oh, okay.
which was a small
Well, that's
production.
definitely
of 12.
from one extreme to the other.
Absolutely, and everyone had a role. And then the next year, I played the lead in the school musical, and that gave me a real understanding of a different kind of singing, like this far more in the text of a story and taking people on a journey from somewhere to somewhere else, and reflecting life situations that weren't my own in a really like a beautifully realistic way. So choral singing for me has always been really, really important, because I just love that kind of singing, but realising that also being able to develop and create a character and understand how that character sits within an entire story arc.
While you're singing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got some great shots of you in all sorts
there are
of
some
different
very
characters.
interesting photographs. I tried to
There
give you
are.
some.
Just have a look at some of these, because some of them are most not you at all.
So that's me as Beadle Bamford in a production of Sweeney Todd that we did with State Opera, just coming out of COVID, actually.
Right.
It was like a dream come true for me.
Yeah. Did he get COVID too?
Well, no, he didn't, fortunately.
shame.
Yeah, but he did get his throat slit. Yeah.
Of course, yes.
And here's a very different thing. So this is me playing Caterpillar in State Opera's production of Boojum. Now, I was very, very fortunate, because in the original festival production of this, the character that played Caterpillar stripped down to a gold lame bikini at the end of his song, and I fortunately didn't have to do that. So I was very happy
Or
about
nothing
that.
at all.
Yeah, well, or nothing at
No,
all, which, as you know, I have done. Yes. Now, let's not talk about that too much. And I just love this shot. I think this was me leaving the stage at the end of one of our performances of L'Ariel, the show that I tour with Aerial Artists Australia.
Right.
So I've been doing this for the last 9 years, and I think this was just
Until
after
you get it right.
Until I get it right. We'd had a phenomenal act on a pole, a flying pole, and I sang for her while she was 5 or 6 metres up in the sky, and yeah, it's just a wonderful, fabulous experience to work with
I'm sure.
artists from completely different
Yeah,
disciplines.
almost the opposite.
Yeah, it's very Cirque. We did this production. This is a Graham Kerner, an Adelaide composer, wrote a fabulous opera called Love Burns, based on a true story of the honeymoon killers from 40s in America.
Oh, okay.
And the wonderful Jessica Dean and I played a couple who went from grifting and conning women out of their money into, at Jessica Dean's character's advice, so we wouldn't get caught killing them and hiding them away. Yes, and this is a true story. And
frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, very fun. This is one of the cabaret pieces that I did with the fabulous Mark and Susan Ferguson. Mark's head of jazz at the Elder Conservatorium of Music, and we wrote a show. We wrote a cabaret show tracking love stories using the music of Burt Bacharach, which we called.
Who really wrote the best love songs?
Absolutely,
in so many
absolutely.
ways, with rhythm.
Yes.
Good love songs with rhythm.
Yes, and you know, we had a great tag that our show was called, and still is called, if we get a chance to do it again, Love in the Key of B brackets Acarac end brackets.
Excellent.
So yeah, we get the thing in there.
Oh, nice person to take home to meet mum.
This was one of my favourite roles I ever played.
Isn't that the truth? When you're the ugliest or the oldest or the most decrepit, or the villain.
Yep. So this was a State Opera production of Orpheus in the Underworld, and I was John Styx, the keeper of the underworld. Of course,
so it's obviously a modern take.
Yes, a very modern take. Mitchell Butel played this character when they did it interstate, so it's always nice to someone that you really love and admire. It's nice to have something in common with them.
I talked to Mitchell on the program quite some time ago before he left us to go back to Sydney.
Yes, what a loss. And this is probably one of the most satisfying things I've done for the last few years. I worked on the final stages of development and then was cast as Ian Duncan and Don Dunstan in Watershed, The Death of Dr. Dunstan for the Adelaide Festival in 2022.
Must make the point you're on the left, because it doesn't look like you again either.
And this is a reflection of me as Ian Dunstan. He was he died in the River Torrens.
Yes, which actually was the catalyst, I suppose, for a lot of the laws to change.
Yes, it was the catalyst for Don Dunstan pushing for our legislation to change to legalise homosexuality and homosexual acts, or decriminalise.
Yeah, right.
And this is me as a reflection of Don Dunstan. Right. So I played dual characters in this fabulous piece.
I think whatever politics people want to align themselves with, he had such a huge influence on everything here in South Australia. Without him moving us into the new sort of century, which was we were halfway through already.
Yeah.
things wouldn't be the same as they are now.
And for me, I will say, so we did this, I have had a mantra for a very, very long time, which is whenever I get caught in a situation I'm not sure about, I often say to myself, what would Don do?
Okay.
And so not only did I get to play Don Dunstan in this, or evoke Don Dunstan in this piece, we did it in the Dunstan Playhouse at the Adelaide Festival Centre.
After him, of course.
And then really as a giant career first for me, and something at my age I never thought I'd do, we were booked by Opera Australia to do a return season. So I finally, at the age of 56, made my debut with Opera Australia on the Joan Sutherland stage with this extraordinary show.
Yeah,
and it was just
amazing.
The most remarkable experience. Yeah. So
that's just great to see.
yeah.
I don't know, is that the last one?
There was another one that flicked up there, I think. That was
there.
So, and I sent you this photograph because this one for me is one of the things that has in the music theatre canon has meant the most to me. I've had the great fortune of playing Jean Valjean in Les Mis multiple times in South Australia for different companies across different productions with a whole stack of different people. And this was the first time I played Jean Valjean. You can see I was quite a bit younger there, and although I was dyeing my hair.
Really. You don't look it really.
But that piece has meant a lot to me. It's a beautiful sing. The story is lovely.
Yes.
And I felt
Well,
very,
it's been
very
such an
privileged.
amazing show.
Yeah.
Look, we've got to take a short break.
Sure.
And we're going to come back and we're going to talk to Mark about something completely different off the track of opera. And it's the other side of what a performer goes through. We'll be back in a bit. Mark Oates is my guest. Mark comes from the State Opera of South Australia. Well, you've worked there a lot and lots of other things in between. But when we were talking before, a couple of days ago, about what we'd talk about, you talked about something I didn't know much about that you had, or that you had, I suppose, is suffer the right word to use?
I used to think I suffered, and now I just think I live with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were finally diagnosed at what, 30?
In my mid-30s, yes.
With?
So I have bipolar disorder, and which is a very specific definition of a particular kind of mental illness, and I also have reasonably hefty anxiety disorder that goes with that, which is quite interesting as a performer when you're putting yourself in.
Well, it's one of those weird things, isn't it, about performing. You're okay, you get very nervous before you get up there to do it.
Yep.
But when you're up there, you feel at home. And then it's all over, and then, like a balloon deflate.
Yes, it can be a really hard thing.
Did you feel this when you were younger?
I think definitely when I was diagnosed, when we realised what was happening, I had an opportunity to look back.
And when you say we?
Yes. So with my partner, my partner and I have been together for a very long time.
This is your wife?
This is my wife, yes. We've been together for a very, very long time. And so, we've been partners through this as we've gone. And so when I realised that there was, there were things that were definitely wrong that I needed help with, as we started to go through that journey of identifying what that might be and trying to work out how we manage that, and effectively one of my psychiatrists talking to me and my partner very much about being detectives and trying to dig to the bottom of this, I started reflecting on my teenage years in particular, and a number of situations that I faced through my teenage years and into my early 20s, and realised that, I'd been suffering with this mental illness for a very long time. And this is in the 80s. So I graduated from high school in 1985, so we're looking at the late 70s and into the early 80s, when understanding of this stuff was really just not a thing.
No, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. I was talking to Sarah Blunden a couple of weeks ago on the program, and she's a psychiatrist specialising in sleep.
Yep.
And in the discussion I said, can you explain to me, what is a psychiatrist?
Yep.
We ask why.
Yep.
And that made perfect sense.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say sleep, because one of the big triggers for me and for my mania in particular is sleep. So one of the things that we discovered by being detectives was that when I'm ticking along towards a more manic stage, so I don't have rapid cycling bipolar disorder, I have a longer cycle. So I can go into weeks or months of various stages of mania that usually then result in an awful depressive state.
Where are you now?
I have actually been in, I would have said over the first couple of months of this year that I was suffering with some more depressive elements, but my wife Steph had said that she had seen elements of mania with me. And when I reflect on that again, I've been back to operating on 3 or 4 hours sleep a night and feeling like I could take the world on, but at the same time as that, not being able to face other people. Finding myself making deliberate decisions about avoiding social situations, and so still getting on with my work, but not socialising with anybody around work, having a reason to take myself out for my own time during breaks and not actually catch up with anyone and talk about that. And so I see part of me being that detective is that I see that that's a change in my best state.
Right.
I suppose it's a change in my equilibrium.
Learning to control that, I suppose.
Well, and learning to recognise that and then determine what I need to do. So when I add all those things together and we thought about it, it was clear that a bunch of the things that I was trying to manage for my sleep strategies were completely out of control. And as my mania develops, my sleep gets less and less, and then my thoughts become more and more muddled, and I find myself more and more overwhelmed by a range of different things. And for me, trying to get that back together, the first step is always trying to take control of my sleep again, and reset my cycle.
Well, it's interesting, as Sarah said, you've got to find the why, and then you've got to try and solve the why.
Yeah, and everybody's why is different, but that for me was a really big...
Yeah, right. Do you think, I mean, being a performer is an odd thing, and I've thought about it my entire life, like why? It's another why. Why on earth do you feel so comfortable doing this?
Yep.
When it's terrifying, you know, the lead up to it's terrifying, and usually when you're actually doing it, you're comfortable with it because you've rehearsed it, you know what you're doing.
Yep.
And then afterwards, it's all over, the curtain comes down or the lights go off, and you trundle home, and suddenly you're alone.
Yeah.
And
even if you're with a partner, you come home at an odd time of the night.
Yes, and they're in bed usually because you're a night worker.
Yeah.
But now you've got a couple of children who've grown up.
I do, yeah. I have a 32-year-old who just happens to be the principal oboe player at the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra,
there you go.
Josh, and my youngest is 30 and he's a physiotherapist and an extraordinary, cheeky, fabulous, they're both fabulous young men. I love them to bits. Yeah.
I love that. That's a father's pride. But during this period, of course, when you did get married suddenly and had a family, suddenly the singing wasn't enough, because that's a problem for a performer. It's not continuous work.
Yeah.
You just got to wait for the next show to come or the next contract, whatever. Yeah. So you took a job working for government.
Yes, I worked in the Australian Public Service for nearly 30 years.
Was that difficult? Did you I've got to get up, I'm working tonight, I've got to get up in the morning to do that job again?
Well, at first...
Did you like what you did?
I really I always worked hard to find people that fascinated me to work with.
Oh, okay.
So I would say for most of the time I was there, I didn't love the job itself, but for almost all of the time I was fascinated by the people I did the work with, and that then made the work okay to do. So, you know, I was very fortunate.
I get that. Yeah, I guess that, yes, it's forming a family with the people you work with, isn't it? That's the important thing.
Yeah, and working with, I always sought out people that had skills that were very, very different to mine, so I could learn. And I was never interested in working with people that were good at the same thing that I was good at, because I have always felt that the way you get your best work done is to work with people that all have different skill sets and work out how you make them all work together.
That's true.
And of course I look at that and I realise now, well, that's exactly what performing is about. When we think of the breadth of people that are involved in bringing a story to the stage.
The ensemble, you've got to have...
And not just on stage,
it's got to
behind
be a
the
family.
scenes. Yeah, the writers, the technicians, you know, in this room, the people operating the cameras and producing.
Absolutely. It's like everyone working here on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, we've all got to work together to make this happen.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it would just be a shot on me for the entire time.
And it is the most rewarding thing when it works. It's just extraordinary.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So to answer your question, to go back, at first I found it... You did, that's okay. But at first I found it quite easy because I decided that I couldn't do that and perform.
Oh, this is working. Sorry.
Yeah, the working thing. So I actually stopped I didn't perform for nearly 12 years. And that was one of the other things that made me realise. So when we were chatting the other day, I said to you, when I did start performing again, I actually realised that I had closed off a really important part of me that made me me. And the irony of that was, while it was really, really difficult then trying to balance working but sometimes 70 or 80 hours a week as a performer and an executive in the Australian public sector, travelling all around the country, facilitating workshops, writing management reports, doing budgets, etc., what I realised was that bringing my full self back into my reality made me better at both things. So it actually
you were
made
happy.
me... Yes, and it reminded me that there were aspects of creativity in me, and there were important things about how to tell stories and how to engage with people and how to make relationships that worked in both environments.
Do you think it's just the word achievement? Do you think achievement makes it...
Yeah, I think achievement does too, but I think it's actually genuinely recognising that success is always about a relationship.
Yeah.
Like the people that you work with and the respect you have for each other and your ability to work cohesively to a goal actually achieves far more.
And this is really what you've found with your wife and the condition.
Much more rewarding, yeah.
So she needs a big gold star.
Always, always. In fact, I say, whenever I talk about it, I say she is the most patient person in the world. And the other thing I often say, and I absolutely believe this in my soul, and she hates it when I say it, had I not met Steph and we'd not made that choice to go on this journey together, I don't think I'd be here. So I think about the worst of the worst times in my mental illness struggle.
Do you have a name for it? I mean,
no,
the black dog used
the black
to be
dog
used
is the one.
as
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
as the one. But sometimes you find words that sort of explain sort of how you feel.
I think probably not a word that I can use. I have labelled certain aspects of it, but not words that I think are appropriate to use on the television. So the worst parts of my mind and some of the ugliest words relate to certain periods of my life and certain reflections and recognitions of where I'm going and what I'm trying to stop.
But the good news is that was it 2019? You said, okay, I've done all that.
Yep.
Kids are growing up. Yep. I'm happy. We're set up.
Yep.
I can do what I want.
I had a wonderful opportunity land in my lap with a range of contracts that I had. Of course, we won't talk about that thing that happened in 2020 that made me have to just juggle things around a bit.
I know. We stopped recording this program for 6 weeks.
That was it. That was it. Yeah, that's when we had to send Broadway sessions into a studio for a few months. Yeah. At the time, I had an opportunity where I had enough performing work to really show that I was established in that field and that was what I was doing. And it gave me an opportunity to say, you know what, actually, I think I can say adios to this other thing that drags me out. And
that's the lovely thing about this story. And we've just got to take another short break and we'll be back in a bit. Mark Oates has been my guest. Mark, we've just been talking about sort of the two sides of life, the performing side, the depressive side, if you like, that always comes together somehow. But the word cabaret has changed a lot of the way we think about performances. And I know you've been working with, is it the Class of Cabaret?
Class of Cabaret, yes,
for the Adelaide Cabaret Festival.
Yeah.
But where do you stand on the whole idea of cabaret?
For me, the idea of cabaret comes from my desire to tell stories, to challenge the way people think. And I came to that through theatre, through music theatre and through opera. They're very, very different disciplines, but they all have the same kernel of truth. And that kernel is presenting to an audience a view of the world through a different set of eyes. And that's always my anchoring point and my fascination with any kind of theatre. And it's one of the things that we talk to the Class of Cabaret students a lot about. It is that you have a worldview that is completely different to anybody else's in the room.
Yes.
And if you can challenge them to see the world through your eyes, you can help them think about how they interact with the world in a different way. And particularly when we're working with generational change, like I'm an age, I grew up in a certain way, the world is a very different place. And this opportunity to work with those students. Yeah,
it's funny, we say the world's a different place, and politics are different and knowledge is different, but really human beings are still human beings. We still need to be loved and listened to and accoladed sometimes and appreciated.
For me, I think it's that what I think and see really differently in the world is the way we interact with each other and the way we interact with our environment and our
definitely
communities.
Those things are challenging.
Yeah.
And we are challenging them now
Yes.
as individuals because it all snuck up on us.
Yeah.
In the last 25 years or so, all the new technology, all that stuff has snuck up on us. And when you talk about records or you talk about a cassette or whatever, and a generation has no idea what you're talking about.
Although this generation's getting very interested in vinyl again, and I'm very happy about that.
Oh, I sold all mine.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I knocked them off first. Mark, it's been lovely to talk to you, and thank you for being so honest with us, because
my pleasure.
you've done exactly what you just said. You've actually told us a story in a way that we may never have considered. And on camera one over there, he just said exactly that in the break, how interesting it was, because you see the people up there, but you really don't know what they're thinking about when it's all over.
I really appreciate you having me here.
No, just a pleasure. Everyone, so until next time on Our Time, as I always say, keep yourself nice till then. Bye.